She moves around the classroom like a TV talk show host, asking questions, prodding the students to think and think again.
Please send an ambulance. Oh my God, my husband is dying. My son has shot my husband. Please send an ambulance right away.
This is how University of South Florida criminology professor Kathleen Heide teaches her students about why kids kill and how the law deals with young offenders.
I'm not trying to get them to think what I think, but I want them to just get outside of their comfort zones and really look at things from several angles.
I went upstairs and then I saw my dad, and then I got the gun and then I fired it at my dad twice.
During this class, she wants undergraduate students to analyze a case involving an 8-year-old boy from Arizona, accused of killing his own father.
I think I might have shot the gun.
So how often do you get in trouble?
Most of the time.
You look at that and you say, is that a dangerous boy?
An international expert on homicidal children, Dr. Heide has been on the case and in high demand for decades. A criminologist and licensed mental health counselor, Heide studies violence in children, has evaluated hundreds of troubled kids, and has testified in court many times. Through it all, Heide says it's not her place to judge, especially the homicidal children.
Because some of the kids that I've evaluated who've done destructive things and really violent, horrendous things are young. I mean, they might be 9 or 12 or 14. I think what's really important in terms of understanding these kids is to get to know what led them to that path, to make those bad decisions, destructive choices.
And she absolutely believes in rehabilitation.
If we can turn those kids around, if we can intervene and help them to become better people and to realize the bad choices they've made, they may then be able to become contributing members of society.
Heide is part of a very small group of forensic evaluators who have a solid research base. According to her research, most children who kill parents were abused or neglected. Many of them never emotionally bonded with a parent or anyone else. Others might have been overindulged and never learned boundaries.
And sadly, what I've seen in cases of overindulged children is when the parents do step in and they appropriately set boundaries that should have been set years back, the children have no frustration tolerance. They're filled with rage, and they just aggress against their parents, and sometimes to the point of murder.
Another common denominator in many of the cases is that a gun was readily available, and guns are the weapon of choice for most kids who kill. When high-profile cases involving child or teen killers break into the news, Dr. Heide gets the interview request.
Kathleen Heide. Dr. Kathleen Heide.
When I was in college, I became just fascinated with the topic of violent kids.
She's been evaluating juveniles charged with murder since the early 1980s. But it was a call from a child she once evaluated that led her to her first book. The boy had killed his abusive parents, and he called from prison with a simple plea.
Somebody has to tell the story about kids like me.
There have been 2 more books since then, about 100 other publications, multiple research projects, and countless professional presentations across the country and abroad. Heide put it in perspective for a horrified nation after the Columbine high school shootings, and again after the massacre at Virginia Tech. She's talked to reporters about the Adam Walsh case and why the Menendez brothers killed their millionaire parents. A British production company sought her out for a documentary about the 1974 killings committed by a 23-year-old man in Long Island, New York. He killed 6 members of his family. The case became the subject of the Amityville Horror. Despite her busy schedule, Heide has served on more than a dozen local boards and was appointed for 2 terms to the Florida Sentencing Commission by one of Florida's governors. And she still has her private mental health practice 1 day a week. There, she treats mostly adult patients who experience trauma in childhood.
Preponderance. What's preponderance?
Incredibly humble about her high profile, Heide says to her, it's all about making the learning experience real for her students, including meetings with juvenile offenders and field trips to one of Florida's crime labs, prisons, jails, and even the death chamber.
All I have to do is take them there for 2 hours. That what they'll remember. Years later, they may not remember a whole lot of what I said, but they'll remember those trips. They'll remember those kids.
She cares about what she's doing, and that comes out very, very clearly.
Julianne Holt is the public defender in Florida's 13th Judicial Circuit and a graduate of USF. She's worked with Dr. Heide since 1993. She's been a guest lecturer in her classes, and she's also hired Heide as an expert on cases. Holt credits Heide's community outreach, including all of those field trips, for making her students both academically and professionally prepared for the real world of crime and punishment.
The juror questionnaires that she's prepared and helped students prepare through their thesis studies in the area of the death penalty have been, to us, invaluable.
Jury questionnaires are just a small part of the real-world experience that Heide's students get. Her teaching assistants and graduate students work with her on research projects and publish articles with her, even present joint research at national and international conferences. Doctoral student Brian Sellers was her teaching assistant for 2 years and is now working with Heide analyzing FBI data that might help with profiling juvenile murderers in the future.
Not only is she's very approachable, but she's got so many different stories, so many different experiences that just hearing those is kind of inspiring to make you want to try and achieve what she's achieved.
Jennifer Peck is a master's student and Dr. Heide's current teaching assistant. Peck is collaborating with Heide on a research project about juveniles who kill their siblings.
I can go to her with anything to do with school, with my research, with prospective teaching one day, anything in my field. I feel like I can just email her at Friday night at 12:30 at night and I will get a response by the next morning, or she's still up, doing stuff too, and it's a great communication. I consider her a great mentor.
To get away from it all, Heide serves with the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary. Active since 1998, she felt an even stronger need to do her part after 9/11.
Our world changed after 9/11, and we were all affected.
She spends her weekends and some evenings on her boat assisting the Coast Guard with missions in the Tampa Bay area. She helps with port security, search and rescue, and she also teaches boating safety.
And I have always believed, from the time I started back in the 80s, that service is important. I mean, we're privileged, we have a great profession, we should give something back.